Hi everyone, thanks for clicking and welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be looking at how to plan a VFR diversion, the steps required to be ahead of your aircraft and also to impress your examiner and show him that you are well prepared. So without any further ado, let's dive right in. Before we get started though, please make sure you have the following items handy so that you can follow along with the process. First, we're going to be needing a VFR map, obviously, a plotter, a protractor, and a flight computer. It can be a CRP5, E6B, or an app. It doesn't matter. When you decide that a diversion is a must, whether because of weather, emergency, or even in your check ride, you are most likely going to be under some level of stress. So the last thing you need is to waste time with an added unwanted stress of calculating your wind drift and heading and your new ETA and so on. That's why prior preparation is key in making your life easier when it comes to this. So let's have a look at the step-by-step of what we need to prepare for a potential diversion whilst on the ground. Of course, assuming you have finished your VFR navlog and plotted your route on your VFR map, here is what you need to do. For any diversion, for whatever reason it is, you need to know these three things. First and foremost, do I have enough fuel to make it to my new airfield or to the alternate? What heading do I need to fly to get there? And then, how long will it take me? The first thing to begin with is fuel. Assuming you have been smart enough and up to uplift enough fuel according to the regulations, and just a quick recap, here is the fuel you need. You need the startup and taxi, plus the trip fuel, plus your contingency, or 5% of trip fuel, or 5 minutes of holding fuel, plus alternate fuel, which is the fuel required from your destination to your alternate, and then you have final reserve, which is the fuel you need to land, the minimum fuel you need to land with, which is 30 minutes by day and 45 minutes by night at cruising speed and at the traffic pattern altitude. Assuming you have enough fuel, now let's answer the second and third questions. What heading do I need to fly and how long will it take me? For this, we will have to make the spider, or some people refer to it as a wind card, which looks something like this. The numbers in green are wind correction angle plus the magnetic variation combined. I personally prefer to combine both of them for ease of calculation in mid-air. Let me give you an example. Say for instance we have a 10-degree wind correction angle to the left and a magnetic variation in the area in which we operate 3 east or -3. So 10 degrees left, which is -10, and 3 degrees east, which is -3. So the variation would be -13. If you happen to have a northerly track of 360, then your magnetic heading, which will take you to your destination, is 347, which is 360, true track, -13, which is a combination of the wind correction angle and the magnetic variation. Alright? Now, whether you prefer using the CRP5, E6B, or an app, the result will be the same. I personally use a website called E6BX. It's free. Now let's go to the E6BX website and show you how to plan for your diversion. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the E6BX.com website, the navlog calculator that I personally use for my training. So the first column to the left, the true course. So we're going to make sure we calculate the wind correction angle and the ground speed in all cardinal and ordinal directions. So we start, as you can see, with 360, northerly direction, 045, 090, 135, 180, 225, 270, and last but not least, 335. Next, we have the altitude. Well, on average, we select 3,000 feet. If you're planning to divert at a higher altitude, it's fine. Just make sure the wind you choose corresponds to the altitude you're planning to divert. Okay? So for the sake of this example, I'm going to use 3,000 feet. But of course, as I say, you can use any altitude you're planning to fly as long as you comply with the semicircular rule. Outside air temperature, let's say 25 degrees. Yes, it's pretty hot. Summer days, you know. Okay, so 25 Celsius. And for the indicated airspeed, of course, it is your airplane, so I hope you know your airplane performance. So for example, the DA40NG I fly at 60% power, we get an indicated airspeed of 105 knots. So 105. Now the true wind direction. For the wind, you can either get it from an app called Windy that I personally use. It's free of charge. Or you can get it from the weather briefing you get from your flight operations. From whatever source it is, it's the same thing. Just get the wind, the true wind that correspond to the altitude you're planning to fly. So for the sake of this example, I'm going to use 330 at 10 knots. All right. Now we have the wind correction angle and the true heading, but we need the magnetic variation. The area and region I fly in, the magnetic variation on average is -3, which is 3 east. So I plug in -3. Okay, now we get the magnetic heading. As I said, I personally prefer to combine the wind correction angle and the magnetic variation up together for ease of calculation in midair. So for the 360 true course or true track, we have wind correction angle of -3 and a magnetic variation for -3. If we add them up together, we get a -6 or -6. And so for 045, we have -5, -3, which happens to be -8, and so on. We just combine the wind correction angle and magnetic variation and put them together. Now let's look at the ground speed. As you can see, here is the ground speed that we have on this column. 104, 110, 118, and so forth. According to these calculations, here is the wind card or the spider that we get. Okay, now that we have prepared on the ground both the wind corrections and ground speed in both ordinal as well as cardinal directions, we can easily follow the following easy steps to divert. First, you put your aircraft in an orbit over a prominent ground feature or landmark. You may use your autopilot if your airplane is equipped with one, and use the roll feature so that the plane will maintain a roll and will maintain altitude while you are working. You don't want to end up drifting left or right due to wind once you're done with the calculation. Then you draw a straight line from your current position, the position you are holding over, orbiting over, to the point or airfield you need to divert to, and then measure the distance. Now, with your protractor, you measure your true track. It doesn't have to be 100% accurate to the degree. A couple of degrees off would not be an issue since you are flying VFR anyways. The third step is you apply the wind correction angle and the magnetic variation that have been previously calculated in the wind card to your true track to obtain your magnetic heading. Now you know the heading you need to fly. Next, we need our ETA, estimated time of arrival. To do that, we have already measured the distance in step number 2. To get the time, we need both distance and ground speed. With our pre-calculated ground speed, based on the spider technique, and the distance we have now, we can get the time required. Last but not least, you let your examiner or your instructor know your magnetic heading, your ETA, and also your altitude. Make sure you comply with the VFR semicircular rule. And also be mindful of any restricted or prohibited area along the way. All right, let's do one more example together. Okay, for the sake of this example, we're gonna be using this planned route over here on the green. And for whatever reason, when we are on this point, Jumelia, we are asked to divert to this point. Shamal. First things first, we draw a line from Jumelia to Shamal intersection. Then we measure the distance using the RP2 plotter or any other ruler whose scale corresponds to the scale of the map. Most VFR maps are on the scale of 1 to 500,000. So the distance is 17 nautical mile. We write this down on a piece of paper or somewhere. And then we measure our true track with the protractor. As you can see, it is roughly about 090. It's an easterly direction. Okay, So if 090 is the true track, we apply the wind correction angle plus the magnetic variation that have already been calculated in the spider technique, and we get -7. So 090 minus 7 is 083. So the head-in, our magnetic head-in is 083. Good. Now we need our ETA. To be able to figure out our ETA, we need both ground speed and the distance. We have the ground speed of 118 from the spider technique, and we also have the distance that we have measured using the RMP2 plotter of 17 nautical mile. With our help of this little table over here, we can see 118, which is, let's round it up to 120, and for a 17 nautical mile, let's say about 15 nautical mile here, which is the closest. So the ETA, or the time required, is 8 minutes. So whatever the time, now you just add 8 minutes and let your examiner know of your ETA. And last but not least, also the altitude, what altitude you're going to fly. So just make sure if you're going on an easterly heading, your altitude is odd plus 500, 3,500, 5,500, 7,500, and so on. As you probably guys have just noticed, the spider technique is super easy and it's super helpful, especially in mid-air when the stress level are pretty high, as well as the workload, I must say, for that matter. So this is it, guys. This is how you plan for your VFR diversion. If you have any questions or suggestions, kindly feel free to mention them in the comments below. Or even if you have any remarks that you think I should have added to the process, please feel free to point it out. Thank you again for watching. Until next time, see ya.